Well, here's my 1989 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. I bought this truck about 10 years ago, and basically I bought it for $200 because it was ready to go to the scrapyard. And at the time I already had my parents' old Jeep, so I bought this one intending to use it for parts. And it turned out it crashed the old Jeep, and ended up using the parts one, which is this one, as the driving vehicle. So this is Ontario, Canada, and the climate here is quite harsh for winter driving. As you can see, the rust under the wood grain paneling there. I've done a lot of work to it over the years. You know, a lot of these panels have been repainted a couple of times. The rocker panels have been recovered. That's not the original panel, that's like a sheet metal cover I made up to go on top of it. But you'll see, like, all through here is no rust holes. But overall it's in pretty good shape. Okay, so just open up the hood here. A familiar sight to most people, I'm sure. So it's the stock 360 AMC. I replaced the rad last year. Ordered this one online, and actually they sent me a 3-core aluminum rad, to my surprise. Works really well. No problem towing a trailer, doesn't even heat up at all, so I'm really happy with this. Yeah, last summer I replaced all the belts, did the whole tune-up on it, but of course, like any Jeep, after it sits for about 3 months or so not being used, the carburetor plugs up, and of course that's what's happened here again. So I can start it up for you, but once it warms up, it basically runs too lean and starts to stall out. So it's the usual thing where you have to go in and clean the carburetor out using a fine wire, carburetor cleaner, and some compressed air to blow out all the passages, and it'll actually run perfectly fine after that again. It's a yearly thing for me to do because I only drive this truck in the summer. I don't use it in the winter anymore. It's actually been that way for about 7 years or so. So I don't know if you can see very well, but the interior is in really nice shape. The leather, you know, it has some fold marks but no cracks or tears in it. The dash is fully complete. A bit of paint lost off the steering column, but that's about it. I do need to replace the headliner. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see how it's sagged down. So I think that'll be this spring's project. That'll be one of the first things I do this spring, I think. So I think I might get the battery into it and start it up for you. Okay, so the battery's in. So we're gonna try and start her up. I did have it going just like 2 weeks ago, so it should start up pretty well. I like to give it 2 pumps of gas. And away she goes. So the typical warm-up time on a day like this is going to be about 10 minutes because it's about -5 out here right now, and also with the addition of the aluminum rad, that extends the warm-up period. So I'm going to shut off the camera for a bit, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes now, and as you hear, it's running very smooth. Still on fast idle. It's not going to come off that idle for a little while yet, just because everything's so cold today. But yeah, once it gets going, as you can see, on fast idle it runs very smooth. So we'll see how it does once it warms up. Okay, so it finally idled down now. It's almost as low as it normally goes. And I think we can move it out of the shed so you can get a better look at it. I don't know if you can hear that, but the idle's actually gone back up. There, it came back down again. So there it is. So some of the other work that I've done on it, like the whole trailer hitch installation has been redone. Like I've redone it, and I don't know if I can crawl under there and show you the frame repair I've done on it. That might be a bit of a difficult thing to do today. Actually, you can kind of see it, some of it there. Those 3 bolts going through the side of the frame, that's a steel plate bolted onto the side of the frame. And let's see if I can get a better picture under here. Okay, yeah, it's visible here. So you can see the silver steel plate that I cut and bolted in underneath the trailer hitch brace. So that spreads the load out now all the way up to almost the shock absorber mount. And so I've done that on both sides. And the reason being, well, probably get a look at some of the rust damage here. Like there's actually holes that are eating through parts of the original frame, so I've really reinforced it to make sure that the old truck doesn't fall apart on me anymore. And as well, all the body mount bolts, actually the rear body mounts here have been replaced. Like, I mean, the steel's been replaced and new bolts put in. I've done that at several locations. There's another one right in there that's replaced. That was a tough one to do. I had to cut the floor open on the inside, and that bolt's been replaced. Same deal, I had to cut the floor open. And these front ones, they've been done. And yeah, I had to cut the floor open to get to the access on the inside. Now for the real work that I've done to it, as if the frame repair wasn't quite enough. So under the carpet, we all know how rusty our floors get. So I actually replaced the floors. I made these by hand using a sheet metal brake and you know, I think it's what, 20 gauge stock steel, and bent them up and welded them in. It's welded here under the pinch weld, welded up at the front and along the side of the tunnel, and then the odd rivet just to hold it down nice and tight. And also the well, I can't see it here, but the seat belt, it was rusted so bad that the seat belt actually just pulled right out of the carpet. So that's what made me do the floor repair. obviously. So yeah, since the body mounts have been done and the frame repair and the floor, it's amazing how much more solid this truck feels on the road now. And then I took it in for an alignment, had the alignment done, and it just drives straight as an arrow down the road. It feels good to have it, you know, back in the condition it was once in. And it's the same thing in the back here. It's a bunch of dirt on the floor. It's not rust, but that's all replaced, and it's actually one continuous piece that goes up the wheel well here. And as you can see, the carpet on the wheel well is gone, so I've used another kind of substitute material on there just to cover it up for now until I get a carpet kit. Okay, so as you can hear now, it's actually idled down finally to its base idle. That's how it normally sounds. And I was just going to show that I've put reinforcement plates underneath the doorstep here. This goes all the way under. This is a temporary measure until I get a new rocker panel that would come all the way up to the pinch weld. Just so no one, you know, puts their foot right through that, because there was some rust in this corner here that I was a bit concerned about. So as you can see, the seats are in really nice condition. Door panels are all intact. They're all really clean. So now we can see the inside a little better now. So yeah, up here is fully intact. The cargo bed is not intact. I don't have the side panels anymore, and the carpet it's been removed because it was basically wrecked when I got the. So it's in four-wheel drive. I usually leave it in four-wheel drive when I park it in the fall. So we'll just see how well or how not well the viscous coupler works. So the four-wheel drive viscous coupler works perfectly fine in it. As you saw, it was spinning in the front wheels, no problem. If that coupling had lost any of its gel, of course that would no longer function, and you'd be sitting there with the back wheels spinning while it's in four-wheel drive and getting nowhere. So you know, if it can spin the front wheels like with relative ease, then your viscous coupling is still good. Now, if you can see, I don't know if this camera will pick it up, but you can probably hear it. The engine's got a little mixture problem now. Now that it's heated up, it seems to be running too lean. So I still believe the carburetor's partly plugged. So this will need to be cleaned out. But that's basically it. Until the spring, I think, when the weather's warmer, I'll take the carburetor apart, and hopefully I can spread some of my knowledge on tuning up the carburetor on these things to make it run absolutely smooth. And because it really does run very well in the summer. It's been my favorite vehicle by far. Lots of power, you know, nice and smooth. Air conditioner has always worked, never had a problem with it. The four-wheel drive, as you saw, works fine. Although I did blow it up one year. I ended up basically shattering the transfer case apart by towing it on its rear wheels. Even though it says you can do it in the owner's manual, whatever you do, never tow this vehicle on its rear wheels with the front wheels on the tow truck. because it will blow up the viscous coupling, and that's exactly what happened. It actually shattered the case open. Amazingly, I still drove it home like that. But I ended up buying another used transfer case and building one unit out of two, and I put it back on the road like that. That was a few years ago. And yeah, as you can see, the parts that I used to repair it are working fine. So that's worked out. But that was a big pain, having to rebuild the transfer case in it. So I think that's it for now. I better move it back into the shed before it stalls, because it sounds like it's getting rougher and rougher as it heats up more and more. And we'll see you in the spring.